Hello everyone! Hope you're ready for another adventure, because today, Wayne continues to read The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. For those who have been able to keep up with our adventure, go ahead and hit the CC button if you want to follow along and read with us. Can you guess who's going to join us for today's adventure? You're right. It's Ivan. You ready for another adventure with us, buddy? I hope you are, because it seems like Ivan has a project that he's going to start with us. And I'm ready to see what that is. Ivan, Ruby asked one morning when I'm trying to nap, why are you always so sleepy during the day? I've been working on a project at night, I tell her. What's a project? A thing. A painting. It's a painting for you, actually. Ruby looks pleased. Can I see it? Not yet. Ruby pokes with annoyance at her roped foot. She takes a breath. Ivan, do I have to do the shows with Mac today? I'm afraid so. I'm sorry, Ruby. Ruby dips her trunk in the water bucket. That's okay, she says. I already knew the answer. Not right. It's night again, and everyone's asleep. I look at the picture I've just made, one of dozens. It's smudged and torn, a muddy blur. I place it beside the others lining my floor. The colors are wrong. The shapes are off. It looks like nothing. It's not what I'm trying to create. It's not what it's meant to be. It's not right, and I don't know why. Across the parking lot, the billboard beckons, as it always does. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, Mighty Silverback. If I could use human words to say what I need to say, this would all be so easy. Instead, I have my pots of paint and my ragged pages. I sigh. My fingertips glow like jungle flowers. I try again. Going nowhere. I watch Ruby plod around the ring in endless circles going nowhere. More visitors have been coming, but not many. Max says Ruby's not picking up the slack after all. He says he's cutting back on her food. He says he's turning off the heat at night to save money. Ruby looks thinner to me, more wrinkled than Stella ever was. Do you think Ruby's eating enough? I ask Bob. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing though. You're sure as heck painting enough. Bob wrinkles his nose. The stench is unbelievable, and I found yellow paint in my tail this morning. Bob isn't happy about my night painting. He says it's unnatural. Now, while I work on my art, Bob sleeps on Not Tag. He claims he prefers her since she doesn't snore. He says her belly doesn't rise and fall and make him seasick. What is this plan of yours anyway? Bob asks. If you explained it to me, I could help out. He nods at his tail. Maybe if you come up with something that doesn't involve, paint. I can't explain it, I tell him. It's an idea in my head, but I can't get it right. And anyway, I'm almost out of supplies. I should have known I wouldn't have enough. I kick at my tire swing. It splatters with drops of blue paint. It's a stupid idea. I doubt that, Bob says. Smelly, yes. Stupid, never. Most of the day I doze. Late in the afternoon, Mac approaches. Bob slips under Tag. He prefers to keep a low profile around Mac. Mac's gaze falls on my pool. A corner of my painting is visible. What is that, big guy? I calmly eat an orange, ignoring him, but my heart is racing. Mac kicks at my plastic pool. Underneath it are paintings. Mac yanks on a piece of paper. It slips out easily, and he doesn't seem to notice the other paintings. The page is striped with green, which is what happens when blue and yellow paint get mixed together. It's supposed to be a patch of grass. Not bad. Where'd you get the paint anyway? George's kid? He considers. I bet I can get 30 for this picture. Maybe even 40. Mac turns on my TV. It's a Western. There's a human with a big hat and a small gun. He has a shiny star pinned on his chest. That means that he's the sheriff, and he will be getting rid of all the bad guys. If this sells quick, I'm getting you some more paint, buddy, Mac says. He walks away with my painting, Ruby's painting. For a moment, I imagine what it would feel like to be the sheriff. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac's out of earshot. Looks like you might be getting some more supplies. I don't want to paint for Mac, I say. I'm painting for Ruby. You can do both, Bob says. You're an artist after all. While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe, I think, I could fold them once they're dry and stuff them into knot tag. It's a long movie. At the end, the sheriff marries the woman who owns the saloon, which is a watering hole for humans, but not horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. I like that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. An ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not like Westerns, where you know who the bad guy is supposed to be. And they're hardly ever romantic, unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before they face lick. I watch an ad for underarm deodorant. How do you know who's who if they don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They just don't notice it because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Mac sells. They laugh, enjoy their ice cream cones as they walk down a path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in long grass. Tigers. I know, because I saw them on a nature show once. Words flash on the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at another kind of family. Elephants. Old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass, and room to wander. It's a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends. The wall that says you are this and we are that, and this is how it will always be. It's not a perfect place. Even in just a few fleeting seconds on my TV screen, I can see that. A perfect place would not need walls, but it's the place I need. I gaze at the elephants, and then I take a look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail. Rocks, trees, trails, trunks. It's the picture I need to paint. It's a little different now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head. Things that don't exist. At least, not yet. I pull out tag stuffing. Carefully, I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple a few of them. Bob tries to settle on her for a map. "You've killed her!" he complains. I had to, I say. I miss your stomach, Bob admits. It's so spacious. When Julie arrives, she's noticed what I'm up to with my paints and paper. Wow, Julia shakes her head. You are one serious artist, Ivan. My finger painting has sold for $40 with a frame. Mac is happy. He brings me a huge pile of paper and big buckets of paint. Get to work, he says. I paint for Mac during the day and Ruby at night. I nap when I can. But my nighttime picture isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor of my cage side by side, the cement is almost completely covered. But something is still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. There's Ruby, he says, pointing with his nose. There's the zoo. There are other elephants. What's wrong with it? It needs one more thing, I say. Bob groans. You're being a temperamental artist. What could it be missing? I stare at the huge expansion of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain it to Bob, that it isn't done yet. I'll just have to wait, I say at last. Something will come to me. And when, I'll know my painting is finally ready. During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. When she stumbles, Mac reaches for the claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while, Snickers jumps onto her back. I lie in my cage, with Bob on my stomach. We are watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell, because she is sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1000th, I wonder what is missing from my painting. Dad, Julia says as George passes by with a mop. Can I ask you a question? May I? George caressed. Ask away. Julia glances down at a piece of paper. What's the difference between a word spelled P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L and the one spelled P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E? The first one is the head of a school, like Miss Garcia. The second one is a belief that helps you know what's right or wrong, he smiles. I like Julia's dad. He's a good guy. He smiles. For example, it's against my principles to do my daughter's homework for her. I like George a lot. Julia groans. If I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, why do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia, I think. Gorillas get by fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters, those sticks and circles with zigzags, filling up books, magazines, billboards, and candy wrappers. Words. Humans love their words. I leap up. Bob goes flying straight into my pool. A word. You know how I feel about wet feet, Bob yells. He scrambles out of the water, shaking each foot in dismay. I look out of my window at the billboard. I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, Mighty Silverback. I count to 12, and then I count again, just to be sure. That seems like a really good place to end the story. What do you think Ivan came up with? Are you going to tell us, buddy? That's fair. We'll see you on the next adventure, okay? Catch you later. And we'll see you on the next adventure with Wayne Reads. Thank you, as always, for joining us for this adventure, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye!